Okay, welcome again to everybody. I would like to start by giving the floor for a few moments to our president, Madam Emma Osmundson, who is with us, and after that to Juan Simoes Iglesias, our Secretary General, for the intro to the conference. So Emma, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Maris, and hello, everyone. It's just wonderful as ever to see everyone and for us all to have the opportunity to come together through the magic of digitalization. So good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the water or across the land. It's always a pleasure to have the luxury of having time to sit alongside your YMCA colleagues, friends and family. And this afternoon is no exception to that. Little would we believe that, since we last met, that the world has changed once again in terms of its axes, in respect of conflict, in respect of upheaval. And it's nigh impossible to imagine that where we started on this close journey together in response to Ukraine, we are now seeing continued conflict in the east with Armenians fleeing. In the last 48 hours, the conflict occurring in Palestine and Israel. And it's absolutely frightening. And the degree in which these things are taking place and the impact that they're causing and the displacement and creation of refugees will be impacting us all now today and for generations to come. And it's often at these times of ongoing, I guess, what appears to be lack of control, that I look back into history. And once again, I've gone back to visit the old history of the World YMCA Movement, written by Shed many, many years ago now. And I was just recalling from reading the chapter on displaced persons and refugees, the principles that were embedded within the YWC and YMCA in those days. And as we look at a world that is changing at fast pace, often when you go back and revisit history, you'll see that often things, whilst they still change, the principles remain unchanged. And in visiting that chapter, I was really fascinated how the four principles that were embedded in the work really post World War I and World War II are absolutely principles that we continue utilising day in, day out in terms of our response to conflicts across the globe. The first principle was that all the services that the YWC and YMCA provided were to be available to all. So without discrimination on the basis of nationality, race, religion, faith, or political belief. We continue that principle. The second principle was that the YMCA tried to develop fully the work that they knew how they could do, the work that they were successful at. So they refused the temptation of sort of diversifying into new activities which they hadn't got previous experience on, or they didn't necessarily have the specialist qualifications for. And by accepting some limited objectives, they were able to have greater impact by doing a small number of things, but doing them well. The third principle was around this idea of self-help. So about the YMCA and the YMCA, really focused on insisting in meeting people and meeting refugees on their terms and helping them to help them themselves to overcome some of the problems that they were experiencing, or doing it in a way that aligned with their own ways of working and activities. And then the final principle was that the recognition of the refugee and non-refugee, so both the refugees and the non-refugees in terms of volunteers and staff, that they were all members of one team and that they all work together in order to seek solutions. So as we join together today and we look back in terms of the response and the work that we've been doing, particularly with regard to Ukraine, but increasingly now into new project areas, I feel very proud and honoured and privileged that we as a movement remain steadfast in those principles. And I look to how we can continue using those principles to have greater impact, to assist more people, and to have even greater effect in the name of Jesus Christ our Lord. So I'll pass over to Juan Iglesias, our General Secretary for Europe, who will give you a more specific update of the work that we've been doing.
Thank you so much, Madam President. We all echo your words, and this is a great opportunity also, as we all aware that we have just adopted a new vision, global vision, Vision 2030, which YMCA Europe embraces, and particularly a pillar that is especially relevant for all of us, somehow connected with the other three pillars, which is what we call Just World. And Just World is actually what we are here for. Each of us at our local YMCAs, at our national movements across Europe and the world, really are here to make it possible for the world to be a world of peace with justice. So what you're about to hear from a number of colleagues that will intervene in this conference is a report in the next 45 minutes of what is happening in the past months with the resources that we have been able to allocate due to your solidarity and your support and your commitment. The impact that those resources have had, so you'll hear figures about this impact and the results of your solidarity. This is the outcomes of the work of hundreds, I would say thousands of colleagues, volunteers and staff in Ukraine, across the neighboring countries, and actually across Europe and across the world, that have taken a step forward and said that they wanted justice with peace and opportunities for those that suffer. So over to you, Marius, with the presentations and the content of this meeting. Thank you so much to each one of you for being here today.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you, Emma. I will share my screen. So going quick through the objectives of today's conference, which is an update on the latest development of YMCA's response to the effects of the war in Ukraine, to inform about the collective mobilization of resources and its allocation through implemented projects in 2023, update on the impact of projects supported by external partners as well, and of course, the next steps in our collective response. As you know already, there are millions of Ukrainian citizens fleeing Ukraine. And this number, what you see there, 6 million people, is the updated data from the UNHCR across Europe, different countries, and not only in Europe, also across the globe. Then YMCA was involved in two kinds of responses. The first one, directly in the front line, the local YMCAs in Ukraine, plus the neighboring countries like Romania, Moldova, Slovakia, and YMCA Europe representation in Poland. And the second action plan was for mid and long-term intervention involving all the YMCAs in Europe, all the members, about 32 national YMCAs. This is a map of the projects implementing or under implementation even now across Europe. So we can talk about more than 134 projects across Europe, more in 13 countries, involving more than 363,000 beneficiaries across Europe, of course. What about the intervention in Ukraine and neighboring countries to date? Of course, very brief, because we would be able to go in many details, but there is no time to go in such kind of detailed presentation. So at the very beginning, and even now, we can talk about delivery of food, basic needs, medicines for those in need, transportation, guidance of displaced persons and refugees, assistance to the refugees, orientation upon arrival, basic needs, psychotherapy support, counseling. Then we had the ROA Community Center opened in Romania by Mare earlier. Then the refugee centers opened in Chisinau, Republic of Moldova. EDU and mobile hubs opened in Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, Slovakia. We had also the refugee conference held in Poland this February, and during the summer, Camp Europe initiative. About all of this, you will have the chance to hear in the few minutes from the colleagues who are delivering these activities on the grassroots. Now, Juan, I would like to invite you again for description or a few words about the fundraising campaign and the resources we've been able to collect since the beginning of the war in Ukraine.
Thank you, Marius. So in the next screen, yes. So at the moment, these are the amounts that have been fundraised directly through your solidarity, and our friends from the US, Adriana and Tom Valentine, will share later on about the specific resources also mobilized. So the figures that you have on the screen have no precedence in a campaign dealt by YMCA Europe with your solidarity and your support. These resources have been fundraised up to date, 1.7 million plus 1.1 million through screen projects by external partnerships. And we'll tell more about it in a second. And I want to really share the deepest gratitude on behalf of YMCA, first to our executive committee with Emma as a president, who led these efforts from the very strategic decision from the very first moment the war started, but also to my executive team, to the team of persons that on a weekly basis are monitoring the development of projects, its implementation, the auditing, and reporting of different initiatives. Olga Lukina, Movement Strengthening and Strategy Secretary, Martina Putzkowska, Finance Secretary, Vardan Khabanzumian, who will share later on the specific projects, and Marius Pop. This follow-up has been crucial in an open and direct, effective way of implementing resources. If I could have the next screen, Marius, the next slide. Thank you. So a key partnership in our journey has been from the very beginning, from February 24, 2022, our colleagues and partners from YMCA USA. And I would like to really welcome and give the floor to Tom Valentine. I know he was traveling until a few minutes ago, recently, from the other side of the world. Tom, if you are with us, it would be a pleasure to ask you to take the floor. And Adriana Stavoni from also the office in Chicago, the International YMCA, who has been outstanding partners in leading the work together with us in Europe, and the whole team that worked with you, Mary, and everyone else in the office. So Tom, Adriana.
Thank you, Juan. And good afternoon and good morning to all that are on the call today. First and foremost, we want to thank our colleagues, the volunteer and staff leaders at YMCA of Ukraine, for their incredible courage and resilience and commitment to make a difference in the lives of so many young people and families in communities throughout Ukraine. It's been a really long journey and it's been very difficult, and we think about you every day, and that's why we do the work that we do. We are also extraordinarily grateful for all of the European YMCA national movements and their incredible work with refugees over the course of the last year and a half, and for the amazing and outstanding leadership of the YMCA Europe team. It has really, truly been an incredible opportunity to work together, and we are so grateful for everybody's commitment. There have been so many calls over the last 18 months on a regular basis to do this work together and just make a bigger difference. There's never really been any difficulties working together. It's only been about how do we do more, how do we make a bigger difference. And so we're so grateful to be able to do that together. If there's one thing I think we're really focused on right now at home, it's not just continuing to provide relevant financial, technical, and moral support, but it's also to fight the challenges of compassion fatigue. We don't want the commitment to Ukraine to end. It's critical that from a YMCA and a US perspective, that we remain solid and steadfast in our support to Ukraine until social justice and peace is established. And so our deep commitment to advance that continues, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you in the time ahead. If we could just go to the next slide real quick. We're very proud of working together with individuals, retirees, local YMCAs, foundations, corporations, many others. Together, we've raised over $2 million in financial and technical support for Ukraine. There's 1,400 individual donors alone that have given to this, plus so many local YMCAs. So we're grateful for this response. We're going to stay strong and stay committed to it, in addition to our provision of technical support. And so with that, I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Adriana, who's going to talk a little bit more about the incredible support of our camp movement and the great partnership we have with YMCA Europe to address the needs of so many Ukrainians and other refugees throughout Europe through camp. So Adriana, over to you.
Thanks, Tom. So as you were sharing, fundraising has been a big focus of how we've been supporting in the United States, but we've constantly been asking, how can we do more to support? How do we connect and build capacity and be relevant in the way that we can be partners? And if you can go to the next slide, the big response that we received since early this year and last year as well was camp. That camp remains a transformational, very relevant program where young people and families, especially Ukrainian internally displaced people and refugees and other populations in conflict areas, still find solace and a place to heal and to be together during very difficult circumstances in camp, which is more needed than ever as the conflict is ongoing. So part of our collaboration as partners has been to organize Campacity events, which was actually, the name was developed by one of the Ukrainian leaders, young leaders. We kept saying YMCA Camp Capacity, and we came up with Campacity. So earlier in 2023, we hosted an event in the US of about 40 camp leaders, half from the United States and half from Europe, from YMCA Ukraine and other YMCAs that were working with Ukrainian young people and families around Europe. There was so much momentum and best practices shared and experiences exchanged, both on the European side, but also on the US side. And there was so much desire to do more and to continue to collaborate. So we are continuing to partner with YMCA Europe, especially with Vardan and Rezi's leadership through the Camp Europe project, which you'll hear more about, to organize another event in April of 2024, or another Campacity event for up to 80 people, both from Europe as well as the United States. And the goal is really to continue to build capacity for the YMCA camping movement to support young people and families experiencing conflict and trauma in Europe. And we have a number of different focuses that are relevant, and you'll see some of them listed here, but we also know that there's been a huge need for just a safe space to focus on mental health, on relationship building, on leadership development, on bringing people together, both in Ukraine and around Ukraine. So we're very much looking forward to continue to partner with YMCA Europe's leadership in this space. We are so grateful for the opportunity. I'll speak on behalf of the US camp leaders. Many of them have said that this collaboration has been transformational for them as camp leaders and has been one of the most meaningful experiences of their careers, to be able to connect with European camp leaders as they're creating these important spaces for families and young people affected by all the different circumstances and conflicts that are happening. So this event is going to be next year, but will be in the scope of a broader project around Camp Europe, which you'll hear about soon. So thank you so much for the opportunity to continue working together, to continue learning from you, sharing the experience that we have, and thank you for the space to share today.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much, Adriana. It's a real pleasure, and I will put it like that. It's a real pleasure to work with professionals like you. And later on, you will hear even more how this cooperation between YMCA Europe and YUSA worked and drives impact. If you remember, Juan was mentioning a few minutes ago about two streams of funding coming for the response to Ukraine. And one is coming from the direct fundraising, and the second one is coming from the external partnerships on specific kind of projects. I will mention that from the first stream of almost 1.7 million euros fundraised, almost 1.5 million is already allocated to support and to projects in Ukraine and in different countries of Europe working with the Ukrainian communities. The second stream, which is from the external partners for specific projects, is something that I'm going to tell you a few words. We are talking about a partnership with Accenture, and I'm pretty sure that most of you have heard about Accenture Corporation and Accenture Foundation. And here, thank you again, YUSA, for the assistance and support, because without you, it would not be possible to have this project. Thank you very much. So this project is based on skilling and support for Ukrainian communities in Ukraine, in Moldova, in Romania, and in Slovakia, neighboring countries. And it aims to develop skilling, employment, to offer legal services, mental health support, childcare, language courses, and the objective is to reach about 30,000 beneficiaries in all these activities. Now, it's very important to know that the first phase of the project started last year in October for 6 months. It was more or less like a pilot kind of project, because we were working for the first time as YMCA Europe with a foundation like Accenture. So probably between us, they were looking also for checking if we are going to deliver well. We delivered well, because then we got an extension of 1 more year of the project, starting this year in June and finalizing next year at the end of May. Altogether, these two projects are bringing 1.1 million euros in delivering activities in all these 5 countries. I'm not going to speak more about that, because I'm going to give the floor to the people who are coordinating the national hubs, centers within this project. And the first one is Victoria from Ukraine. Victoria, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Here you see on this slide the numbers of beneficiaries and people reached through this project. To me personally, these numbers have a big meaning, because being in contact with our local hubs, I hear how many people are behind those numbers, IDPs that found hope again in their new communities, or the professionals that were depressed and were ready to close their business, but they didn't thanks to this project, or the one who started their new business or learned valuable skills that really helped them in finding the job. And I want to share that in this new phase of the project, I see that our hubs are building more and more partnerships within the local communities with business, but also with educational institutions. They go to schools, universities, colleges, which means reaching even more people. But what they do next, I really like. They use this YMCA approach, individual approach to people coming then to their hubs. They reach many people, but then they go deeper and they provide skills and workshops really based on their needs. And when I'm saying this, I mean that sometimes hubs really need to start something completely new that they have never done before, like courses for hairdressers or manicure masters, but something that would really help people find the jobs right afterwards. And this is working, and they are always able to find the experts needed, and this brings results, and this brings many success stories. But another thing I want to mention that they give it as a full package. They do not only provide workshops, but they are working as mentors a lot. And if they see one person needing psychological help, they also provide this. If they see they're not confident about social media, they would provide an SMM course for them so they can have their pages and sell their products, etc. But another thing I want to mention about this project, that I think that it's changing not only the life of people in the communities, but the life of the teams themselves. I see how people in teams, staff members and volunteers are growing as professionals, and how they are happy about being able to be of a great use and to help so much in their communities during the war. Because for many Ukrainians, there is such a need to have this role in the war, and they really have it. So what I also see as a result of this project, that these hubs, these local YMCAs get closer to each other. This connection and network brings much to themselves. I see they do many more exchanges with each other now, and I really hope that this only continues. I see how this project and the fact that we have the teams, the staff in each Y really help them grow as organization. I hope we can keep it for the future. And I really appreciate their work, and I'm looking forward to host many of them soon in Munich when we do some kind of retreat for the ones who work so hard in their communities in Ukraine now. Thank you, Marius.
Thank you, Victoria, and thank you for your hard work. I would just like to add in a few seconds something that I've realized after this month of running the project in the Ukrainian locations, hubs, that I realized a significant growth of the organization institutionally. Because as Victoria mentioned, there are some money in the project that provides staff capacity and human capacity. And these local organizations in Ukraine were used to work on voluntary base, most of them. And now they realize, and we realize, how big is the difference in working with professional staff dedicated every day. Volunteers, of course, they have their own role, but it's totally different. It's totally different. And me too. I hope we would be able to work together with Accenture or with other partners to continue the project, because it's really driving impact. Next, I would like to invite Alina from Romania to take the floor. As you know, Romania was on the front line from the very first day of the war, on the borders, the blue tent, and probably after that, many of you heard about the ROA Center in Romania. So, Alina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marius. Hello, dear friends. Thank you for this another great opportunity to share what we took last February as a core mission and put it in practice, to stand with and stand by our Ukrainian brothers and sisters. So after the first months serving at the border, the national office is 60 kilometers from the border with Ukraine, and we served there at the first line from February 25th, actually, till end of June. Meanwhile, together with other youth organizations, we created a ROA community center, ROA, Romanian Ukrainian, with exactly the principle that Emma stated at her speech in the beginning: co-creation, working with and for, learning from each other, understanding each other, listening to each other. I think this is fundamental. And we as the YMCA, we are, I would say, very, very best to do this, to listen to the person next to us. And so in this ROA Community Center, where we offered integrated services for kids, adults, and seniors, the YMCA is providing 3 services. Childcare at the beginning, that was transformed in an after-school program because of the need, and more kids, they were enrolled in Romanian schools last autumn, and we supported this process. And then again, starting with autumn 2022, employment support program, because it was needed. A lot of moms, a lot of single parent families needed to provide for themselves. So this program met their needs halfway, and we have great examples and impact in the community. And nevertheless, the mental health program that we managed to secure with 2 Ukrainian refugee psychologists that we hired, one specialized in adults and one specialized in kids. So together, as a Y, we offer a package in a holistic approach, from kids to parent and elderlies. Based on a last year experience, it was a tremendous learning experience for all of us, for our young staff who used to be volunteer, and also thanks to the grants that we received from Y Europe and Accenture program. We managed to have staff that on a daily basis is dedicated serving with and for the Ukrainian community established in Baia Mare and surroundings. Of course, through the mobile hub, we serve the region, and we, as Victoria was mentioning, also in Romania, we are reaching more rural population, together Romanian and Ukrainian refugees, Romanian and Roma and Ukrainians and Romanians, so all together in an inclusive way. And the impact is and the response is tremendous from schools, from parents, from business partners who are more and more coming to partner with us in order to provide jobs and reskilling and upskilling opportunities for Ukrainian refugees. This autumn, we relaunched, as the school started, our after-school program for kids in a new location, again thanks to YMCA Europe and YUSA. And the number of the requests that we've got from the Ukrainian parents, from the kids, from the schools. If last year we had kids only in 1 Romanian school, now we have kids in 7 Romanian schools. And we are taking them from school, and we are providing hot lunches, and we are doing with them homeworks. And the parents are saying that we provide not only a safe space, but the kids are happy. And for them, this is a huge support, because they can focus on their jobs online or offline in our community, or to take care of the ones who are still in Ukraine. I think and I believe that the approach that we have in Ukraine, in Romania, in Moldova, in Slovakia, thanks to this common project, help us to strengthen our organizational capacity, to raise the quality, and also to develop our human resources and to tackle new programs. And I will just give you an example. Hopefully it will go through. But recently we were able to go in a study visit to YMCA Thessaloniki, who work with programs with refugees for many years, and they have high standard and they are very, very experienced. As well, YMCA Finland and Lebanon. So we together come and apply for a project at European Union in order to learn more from each other, to reach out more, to help more, and to grow together. So thank you for your support. It means a lot at the grassroots. It means a lot for our brothers and sisters from Ukraine. It means a lot for our movements, and it means a lot for the YMCA as mission and vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Alina. You mentioned it already, but I want to put a bit of a highlight on the next sentence, which is, if at the beginning YMCA was providing services to the Ukrainian communities in Ukraine and in the countries across Europe, I would say that now focus is on integration, not just providing the services, because the Ukrainian communities should not be alone in another country, another space, another context, another culture, as they should integrate and live in the countries together with the rest of the communities. And this is what YMCA is doing. Now we will move a bit to the east, to Moldova. And before I will give the floor to Dima, what you see on the screen is probably the biggest project that YMCA is running, at least in Europe, from the very beginning. It was a chance, for sure. It's a project that happens once in a lifetime, to receive a donation from HP, such a big amount of devices and amount as value. And I will invite Dima, the CEO of the Moldavian YMCA, to take the floor and to speak about this and the next slide that will show.
Hello, everybody. So for sure I checked, and I want to say that it's not only the biggest project of YMCA implemented, but it's also the biggest project implemented by an NGO in Moldova from 91 until today. Through this project, we received more than 5,300 computers and laptops, new one from the Hewlett-Packard, and our task was to reach the Ukrainian refugee communities. In this way, we reached more than 250 institutions. They are the schools, the high schools, the universities, the youth centers, daily centers, centers for elderly peoples, refugee centers, and other organizations that are providing services for refugees and for youth. And it is one of the biggest success for us, the biggest success for us, because we reached more than 280,000 direct beneficiaries, and it's an honor for us as a YMCA Moldova to be that responsible organization for this great project in our country. We received a lot of response, a lot of feedbacks from the institutions, and we are happy that we reached this high level. We have, through this project, we have a strong partnership with the Chisinau City Hall, with a lot of districts and schools, and for us, of course, it's a big potential for the future, and we will continue to work on it. To continue our the other activities that we have on the next slide. YMCA Moldova is focused from the first day in to help the Ukrainian refugees, and we started by preparing, even in the first days, by preparing the packages with food and the emergency need for the refugees that are coming and they have only the luggage on the border. In this way, we continue to do this until now, and till today we have close to 4,000 packages distributed. So it's close to 4,000 families that received these packages from us. I will mention that in February last year we was organization close to zero, let's say. Now we have around 16 people staff in the organization. We are a professional. We have good staff employed, which are leading good programs and services for the refugees. The direct number of the refugees we reached through the activities, which means the psychologist support, the legal support, and also the employment support. It's more than 9,000 people. We are through this project also, we are in contact and in a good cooperation with National Employment Agency. For us, it was also an opportunity, a challenge to establish these relations and to continue to work. And every month we have a lot of activities related to Ukrainian refugees. We are, I think now in Moldova, we are I don't assume to say the only one, but we are that organization that have integrated services for the refugees. So we provide free accommodation and the food and the hygiene, I think, and different type of services for the Ukrainian refugees in Moldova. And of course, we are proud for this. We have involved a lot of volunteers, a lot of staff, a lot of key actors in the city and in the capital, I mean, and in the districts that together permit us to provide this big and beautiful result. Thanks.
Thank you, Dima. Thank you very much. Indeed, Moldova is also doing a very good job. Now we are going back to the western part of Europe, or the central part of Europe, to Slovakia. And I would like to give the floor to Daniela, the Secretary General of the Slovak YMCA.
Thank you, Marius. Hello, everyone. For us, this was a year that has seen our organization reach new heights and accomplish significant milestones in our ongoing mission to serve the community and foster positive change. And one of our most noteworthy achievements in the past year was the successful recruitment of fresh talent. I mean, staff, mostly. And these individuals have brought not only their skills, but also their boundless enthusiasm, breathing new life into our work. And they have played a really significant role in driving our mission forward. And for that, we are really grateful. And as you can see on this slide, what makes this achievement even more remarkable is that most of these new team members were Ukrainians. And this diversity in our team is really a huge value, because it allows us to connect with our target audience in ways we couldn't have imagined before, because people from Ukraine have a unique ability to reach our target audience better than we could, as they share common trust and understanding with people we all work with. And it's great that some of our team members were once our clients in the initial stage of our project. And after successful therapy and activities, they transformed into valued employees and in this second phase of the project. And this is like testament to the transformative power of our work. And this team worked in different areas, activities, like individual and group psychological help, counseling, language courses, employability activities, sports, childcare programming courses, music lessons, camps, and other activities that have arisen from the needs of community in which we work. And all of these activities help to our beneficiaries to feel safe in new country, and to increase also their self-confidence and skills in different areas. And I think that in past years, this was a journey filled with remarkable achievements and also challenges. But through it all, our organization has shown incredible resilience and adaptability. And we have not only navigated these obstacles, but we have continued to extend our outreach and make an impact on communities we serve. And looking ahead, we are excited about opportunities that the future holds. We are committed to building upon our accomplishments and rising to meet new challenges. Our dedication to the cause of positive change and support for community remain at the heart of everything we do. And thank you all for your dedication and hard work, and also opportunity for doing this meaningful work. And I think together we'll continue to make a difference in the lives of those who we serve. So thank you.
We will do it, Daniela, for sure. It's clear that sometimes there are challenges, but on the other hand, the challenges are the driving force that is pushing us to go forward and to grow and to do better. Last mention about the project, and all these 4 countries that you've been hearing about are also running mobile hubs. Mobile hubs meaning a van, a car, a minivan that is going from place to place, providing different kind of services, from digital services to legal services, mental health support, activities for kids, and so on, so on. All this information, of course, and a lot of success stories you can find on our website, ymcaeurope.com. I will put also the link in the chat to have it visited, to find a lot of good things that are happening across Europe. Now, I would like to keep the promise that we gave it to Adriana and Tom when they mentioned that we are going to speak a bit more about Camp Europe. And I would like to give the floor to my colleague Vardan Hamarzumian, who is the mastermind behind of this initiative. Vardan, please.
Thank you, Marius. I will be very short, because I think everybody knows what's camping, what it delivers, what are the impacts of a camp. Camping program is actually a very good remedy in the refugee situations. And we decided at the YMCA Europe Roots for Peace program that we commit our time as staff to run a pilot project this year. And this year we had 16 summer camps in nine European countries. Half of the camps were in Ukraine. The rest are all over Europe, and with a total budget of 140,000 euros. And that pilot project is only the beginning, because from the next year we are starting a long-term, large-scale Camp Europe program, which will be dedicated for the refugees, IDPs, or just people, war-affected people from Ukraine, but not only from Ukraine. Unfortunately, the war-affected people in Europe now are getting more and more. So, and we are very happy to have the cooperation of the YMCA of the USA, but also the national YMCAs in Europe, and especially the YMCA of Ukraine, in developing and running this project. In April next year, as Adriana mentioned, we are going to have a kickoff event in Spain, in very good cooperation with YMCA Spain, which we hope that will be really a new beginning of our camping program in Europe. And this is all. And thanks everybody who supported this, and and because of that, we now have this wonderful initiative gearing up in Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vardan. The next step I would like to lead you to is a nice map. Unfortunately, it's a map of the project of projects across Europe caused by the war in Ukraine. And you will see here 15 countries granted by YMCA Europe with the money that we got from the fundraising campaign in order to deliver projects and activities for the Ukrainian communities. At the end of this conference, you will receive by email the presentation, and the presentation has links to the databases that we built, where you can see exactly what projects, how many beneficiaries, where, the status of it, and so on, so well. Now, Juan, I would like to give you the floor again for speaking a bit about the next steps that YMCA Europe has planned for Ukraine.
Thank you, Marius, and thank you, everyone. And of course, as you can imagine, a big part of our work has been also making sure that YMCAs in Russia and YMCAs in Belarus are protected the most that we can. As you all know, the context is not easy; it's extremely challenging, and we, of course, are in contact with those two national movements on a weekly basis, speaking with their secretary generals and making sure that first there's hope for the movement, and also there's a support that continues to be channeled to both YMCAs, as also affected by the situation that we live in Europe at the moment. And it's also a pleasure to before talking about the next steps, to ask our colleague Viktor Serbulov, Secretary General YMCA Ukraine, who is now at the moment traveling within Ukraine, almost arriving in Kiev, as I believe, and I see that he's connected, just to share with all of you a salute on behalf of the National Board and the Secretariat of YMCA in Ukraine. So, Viktor, if you can share with us a salute and a thought, we will appreciate it. Thank you.
Good evening, dear friends. It's a big honor and big privilege for me to talk to you. Thanks a lot for great support that YMCA Europe, World YMCA, all the international partners are delivering to YMCA Ukraine. At these horrible times of war, we really feel support. We really feel shoulders, hands, hugs from all of you. We feel us much more stronger that we were in the beginning. Only one figure, number that before the war, we reached during the year 25,000 people. During the first year of the war, we reached more than 120,000 people. And this is due to your support. And we have plans, really we have big plans. One of our big program that we would like to create is the work with veterans and their families, with children, women, wives. It's a great problem for Ukraine. We have millions of people who went and who are going through the war, and they need support, rehabilitation when they are at home. Their families need support, children need support. We have commitment from some of the YMCAs in Europe. For example, YMCA Soldiers Mission in Denmark, who have great experience in this work. We are very thankful to the YUSA, Tom Valentine, who organized already a meeting for Ukrainian leaders to discuss the plans for future. We are negotiating with some other partners, and we hope that this program could be very beneficial for our society, for YMCA in Ukraine. And it was already mentioned that institutional development, institutional viability of YMCA Ukraine is very important. Through our youth centers, we can do a lot of job, much more job that we did before the war, but we need premises. We need financial support to get these premises. We need financial support for transportation, for means of transport. Only a few our local YMCAs have cars, have minibuses, which they could use. So we would like to develop our staff capacity on the local level and on the national level. So the needs are enormous. The war is going on, and we really need your support to make YMCA Ukraine stronger, to be able to reach more people. So thank you very much for your great support, and hope for your support in future. Together we will overcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Victor. Thank you, Victor. And you saw briefly before the next steps, that was a good summary of what we plan to do. We are talking there in the next steps about ongoing support to the development of the YMCA in Ukraine, from the movement strengthening perspective to the projects and the capacity to deliver programs. We're talking about making sure that we continue protecting the YMCAs in Russia and the YMCA people in Belarus, and what is going on in the countries. Also the camp projects, and of course continue with the campaigns among Europe, also globally, to make sure that we achieve our goals. You'll have this presentation in your emails as soon as we finish, together with the recording of this meeting. But now, Emma, our president, always mentioned in the beginning of all these projects that there was peace that we should aim for in our work as YMCA when it comes to the response. One is the P of programs and the projects, the action. The second P was to publicize, to make sure that we extend, that we share what we are doing. This is what we have been doing this evening. And the third one is the P of praying. I will finish with a prayer that you'll have in the screen in a second. It's a prayer for peace with justice. It's a prayer thinking about everyone suffering across Europe with the effects of the war, but everyone that is suffering the last hours, as Emma said, what is going on in the Holy Land. In the Holy Land, it's hard to believe that in the heart of the Holy Land, there is an open war for the last 72 hours. So if you can join me in this prayer, it's almost international. This sentence is everywhere. It can be repeated by anyone from any religion and from any thought and spiritual dimension. And it says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid." And with that, do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. I think it's a good message to conclude this conference. We have a couple of minutes for questions, key questions that you may have. If not, please feel free to write on the chat or to communicate with YMCA Europe if you need further information, further reporting. And again, with the gratitude to my colleagues in the staff team, to Emma and all the executive committee, and to you, Marius, that led this conference, guiding us into the different presentations. So a couple of minutes for questions or any comment before we formally close.
Thank you. Until we give a couple of seconds to the people to write the question into the chat, I would also like to say a special kind of thanks to a person who is present here, to Marta from Ukraine, because I don't know how many of you know, we published it on our website and on our social media, that this girl in Ukraine was able, through her personal relationships, to get in touch with a big organization like Unlocking Communities, and together with them to drive a project of $3 million with more than 250,000 beneficiaries in Ukraine, distributing water filters and torches and all these equipments that are needed. So Marta, really, I think on behalf of all of the people here, a big congrats and thank you for your effort. Okay, so I see no question here. I invite you again for all the information that you may look for our webpage, ymceurope.com. Email us on info@ymceurope.com. I promise you that you will get an answer in less than 24 hours. Follow us on social media because we are trying to do our best and to be as responsive as possible and to post as many news as possible. And if there is no other question, thank you all again for your participation, for your contribution, and I'm pretty sure for your further support in this. Because without you, we cannot do many things. So thank you very much.